Hello friends, let us continue. The cell interior, a coordinated working system. So there are many parts inside the cell. They work together in coordination. So they've said that cell is consisting of three basic parts. Number one is the selectively permeable membrane, which allows certain things to come inside. It selects selectively permeable. Then semi-fluid, that is jelly-like substance, it's called as the cytoplasm, and then a prominent nucleus. Now in addition to this, there are certain other things which we are going to learn about. They are called as organelles. Now you can see the picture here. Okay, typical bacterial cell, that is the A, then plant cell and animal cell. Observe carefully the difference between them. So let's go ahead, study the given diagram and observe the difference. Record your observations. That is what they have said. A bacterial cell lacks well defined nucleus and membrane bound organelles. So if you look at the bacterial cell, it does not have a well defined nucleus. That means nucleus is not fixed. Membrane bound organelles, so all the organelles are there, they are not membrane bound. There is no demarcation. Okay, they don't have boundary. Then such kind of cells, they are called as prokaryotic means very old. Primitive means very old. Now in prokaryotic cells, most cellular activities take place in the cytoplasm. So whatever is happening in the cell, that actually happens in the cytoplasm. In contrast, plants and animal cells have well defined nucleus. So we have a very clear cut boundary in the plant cell and animal cell. They are called as eukaryotic cell. So two types are there. One, prokaryotic. Second, eukaryotic. Remember the names. These are important. So eukaryotic means true, karyon means nucleus. So more details are there. Yeah, you can just compare the cells and you can fill this table. In bacterial cell, if cell wall is there, cell membrane is there, cytoplasm is there. Same way you can study it for plant cell and animal cell. Now you can see that primitive nucleus present in prokaryotic cells, that is present and absent in eukaryotic cell. Diameter, that is around 1 to 10 micrometer. Micrometer means 10 raised to minus 6 meter. Remember, 1 micrometer is 10 raised to minus 6 meter. Very small, very tiny. And eukaryotic cell is 10 to 100 micrometer. That means it is a little larger than the prokaryotic cell. Number of cells in organisms. So usually unicellular cells are prokaryotic. Unicellular means what? Only single cell. Bacterial cell suppose is there. So single cell will do all the work. Now in eukaryotic cell, it can be unicellular or it can be multicellular. Then membrane bound organelles. So organelles are the parts inside the cell. If they are membrane bound or they are not membrane bound. If the nucleus is membrane bound, if there is a nucleus with membrane, that you have to check. So for prokaryotic it is absent, for eukaryotic it is present. Now let's go ahead. In eukaryotic cell, a network of fine fibers are there. They are called as cytoskeleton. Like skeleton we have which holds our body, like that we have fibers which hold the cell. So they support, they give the shape and they enable cell movement, internal movement, like a highway inside the cell. Cytoplasm may also store starch, calcium oxalate or silica in some plants. These are called as cell inclusions. So they require some crystals for their certain other aspects or functions. That's why they store it. Now they have asked a question, why do eukaryotic cell need these organelles? So we are going to study about the function of each of them. So eukaryotic cell carry out different processes. Now remember, eukaryotic is advanced. It is carrying many functions in the organism. Remember, in organism everything happens inside the cell, and we have departments. Like we have departments in government, same way we have different departments in cell which will perform different functions. Cell organelles help in building new material, removing waste and providing energy to the cell. So see what they do. First, they build a new material. Remember, protein building. Protein building is the most important thing. Our body is all made up of proteins. Okay, protein is a major body building thing. substance. Remove the waste. Whatever is not required, we have to remove that and provide energy to the cell. They work together to perform all functions of the cell. In other words, they are like a factory, as I told you. In government, we have different departments. In factory, we have different departments. They do different work. Together, they achieve a certain goal. For example, a car factory. So there are many parts of the car. So different departments are going to produce and assemble these parts and will join and make the final product, that is a car. Now, nucleus, house of coded instruction. Look at the picture now. Inside the nucleus there are certain structures. Observe them. So that is chromatin, then nuclear pore, nucleolus. So it is a double layer having a nuclear membrane. So it has pores that allows transfer to material between nucleus and cytoplasm. Nucleolus is the dense round body. They have a ribosomal unit. We are going to study about these molecules further. These subunits then exit the nucleus to the cytoplasm when one large small subunit assembles from ribosome. So ribosome is a molecule, remember. See this picture. Here you can see nucleus. Inside that chromatin is there and then chromosome. You have heard about DNA. Have you? Have you heard about this word? DNA. Deoxyribonucleic acid. It contains the genetic information about our body. Everything that is there in our body is in the coded form in this DNA. Okay, so nucleus contain chromosomes visible as rod-shaped structures, and chromosome contain information about the characters which we get from our mother and father. So that is DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. Chromosomes are composed of DNA and DNA contains genetic information. So cell, inside that we have chromosomes, inside that we have the DNA. It contains the information about the body, how to make the protein, who is our mother, who is our father. Okay, everything is coded in the form of DNA. Chromatin material is visible as entangled mass of thread-like structures. Whenever cell divides, we can see this under the microscope, of course, very small. Now, some cells like the RBC, they do not have nucleus. So, they have more space for hemoglobin. Have you heard about this? Hemoglobin. It is required to transfer oxygen in blood. So, they lack nucleus. They cannot repair or divide themselves. So, they are short-lived, 120 days. And we make large number of RBCs every day in our body. Okay. So they have a life of 120 days. After that they die. New cells replace them. Prokaryotic cells do not have a well-defined nucleus. DNA is present and region between the genetic material is called as nucleoid. Now what is a ribosome? So second part is ribosome. First we saw what is inside the nucleus. Now we are going ahead. Ribosome. So it is a protein factory. What does it do? The name tells us, protein factory. It makes protein, different types of protein, according to the information that is present. Okay. Now, these are tiny structures made present freely available. These are sites of protein synthesis. Endoplasmic reticulum is a large organelle present in networks. So it plays important role in synthesis and transport of proteins. So structure of endoplasmic reticulum, rough and smooth, two types are there, RER and SER. So when we look under microscope, it's called a special microscope, electron microscope. Normal microscope cannot see the structure clearly. That's why we have a special microscope called as the electron microscope. It projects electrons, and when they are diffracted, we study with the help of sensors the internal structure of the cell. So it looks like that, rough inside the microscope, and that's why it's called as RER. So what does it do? It is mainly involved in protein synthesis and protein secretions. Then we have smooth, that is involving synthesis, storage of fats and hormones. Now Golgi apparatus, that's a packaging and shipping center. So production is done one place and packaging is done in another place. So if you look in the diagram, you can see these structures, stacked, flattened, sac-like structures. They are linked to ER, that is endoplasmic reticulum, and they act like cells post office. Now lysosomes, these are the cleanup system. whatever is damaged, whatever is discarded, whatever we don't want, remove it with the help of lysosomes. So they break down unwanted proteins, carbohydrates, fats, whatever is not required, damaged cells, they break it down and they reuse it. The material can be reused or it can be discarded, destroyed. Now what is mitochondria? This is a very important thing. Mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. The name itself tells you it has a lot of power. It produces power. So whatever food we eat, if it contains nutrients like carbohydrates, this carbohydrate produces glucose, and this glucose can be used as energy raw material. Energy can be made from it. And where is it made? It is made in this mitochondria. Mitochondria are often called as powerhouse because they give us energy. They supply energy. Remember, very important. So it has two parts, outer and inner membranes. So outer is smooth and inner is folded. Now why is it folded? To give greater surface area. If you fold it inside, you have more surface to react. So surface area increases, mitochondria, the glucose and other processes are happening. Respiration. Now respiration takes place in this. Respiration means what? Production of energy. Remember, the air that we take inside goes in the cell and production of energy happens. That happens in mitochondria. So it produces ATP, that is an energy rich molecule. Remember the name ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Adenosine triphosphate. Repeat it, it's important. Then plastids, center for food synthesis in the plant cells and beyond. So let us try to understand what a chloroplast. You have learnt about mitochondria provide energy to us. Animals can obtain food in the surrounding. However, plants synthesize their food. So car requires petrol. It's a fuel. Like that, plants prepare their own food. That is a fuel for them. And we eat that food. So that's a fuel for us also. How does it produce? It is produced by photosynthesis reaction. So plastids, for example, chloroplast can be used for production of this food. As you have learned that plants prepare their food with the help of green pigment called as chlorophyll. So it absorbs the sunlight and converts it into usable form of energy. Okay. Then inside the chloroplast there are semi-fluid called as stroma. Disc-shaped structures are there. Light is absorbed. Photosynthesis happens. Sugars are synthesized and then stored, and we use that sugar as energy. So mitochondria and plastids have some features that are similar to certain bacteria. They both have their own DNA. This is a special thing. Mitochondria has its own DNA. They can make some of their proteins. So these characters suggest that both of these are evolutionary history of single-celled organism. Maybe that they were earlier single cells. Now they have come inside our body and they are doing the work in tandem, in coordination with the other parts of the cell. Now next part, how do fruits, flowers and vegetables acquire varied colors? Now color giving substance. So there are certain chemicals, color giving substance in our body. In our body also they are there. In plants also they are there. So plastids, these are chromoplast. That means color giving substance. Okay. Now yellow, orange, red. These are the bright colors which help the pollinators. Pollinators means the different types of insects. They are attracted and they help for reproduction of the flowers, the plants. Flower is a reproducing organ. So in that pollinators are attracted because of the colorful flowers, and then it helps in reproduction of the plants. We are going to study this in detail in other chapters. Reproduction in plants. Now in plastids lack pigments. They are colorless. These are called as leucoplast. Leucoplast store food material and others are having colors. Okay, plastids normally have colors. You can just see this here. Now what are vacuoles? Vacuoles are storehouse. Whatever is not required or whatever is required, that can be stored here. So it's a place to store. It's a storehouse of the cell. So in mature plants, usually one large central vacuole is there. Vacuole is filled with watery fluid called as cell sap. It stores minerals, water, then sugar, waste material and all. It helps to produce internal pressure in the cell, so the cell can withstand the external pressure. In animal cells, vacuoles are present. They are not very large, they are small. No need to store much in animal cell. So in 2010, scientist Craig Venter and his team made an important discovery in synthetic biology. The first studied complete DNA sequence of a simple bacterium called as Mycoplasma mycoides using computer programming. Remember, science is interdisciplinary. Many scientists come together and they work together for a common goal. So computer scientists, computer engineers, biologists all came together for this common goal. They took another closely related bacterium and removed the DNA and kept the rest of the cell to intact. They inserted the synthetic DNA in. After this, cells started to grow and divide following the instructions from the newly inserted synthetic DNA. So this experiment shows that DNA controls the activity of the cell. So it's like a brain of the cell. Everything is controlled by DNA. Now, how do normal cells grow and divide? So what is happening? So cells are the smallest unit, functional, structural unit of life. So how do they divide? That's what we are going to study now. So if we get a cut on our skin, it heals after a few days. If hair fall out, they grow again. This happens because cells are continuously dividing and producing new cells. That helps us to grow, to maintain our body, because old cells are dying, new cells have to replace them. Now they have told us to do an experiment. You can see the picture here, growing onion roots in the water. You can see closely, roots of onion are growing in water. So you have to take a jar, fill it with water and keep onion in it. So roots will grow, and then you cut it and observe under the microscope. Okay. So put a drop of dilute hydrochloric acid at the root tips, soften it, and then 2 to 3 drops of acetocarmine stain, color it, so you can see it under the microscope. So what do you observe? You can observe this kind of structure. Okay, cells which are growing, which are dividing. So cell division is happening. Cells grow, and that is called cell division. Different structures are formed. You can see the different structures. Cell cycle is there. So cell is born, okay, from old cells, and then they grow and they redivide. So that is called cell division. So cell division is a process by which new cells are formed from pre-existing cells. It helps to grow, repair and reproduce new cells. Some cells, there are 2 steps, mitosis and meiosis. Let us study them. So every human being life starts with a single cell. So we are born from a mother and father. Initially we were single cell. From that we have grown into a multi-billion cells, that is our body. Many billion cells are there. So that is because division, cell division. So mitosis, one cell divides many times, and this is called as mitosis. Mitosis produces 2 genetically identical daughter cells, like we have Xerox copy. So we take a paper, document and Xerox it. Same thing is written on the Xerox copies. Same way here also. One cell divides and produces exact copies of itself. So the DNA is having the same structure, the same information, genetic information. Then we have meiosis. The first one was mitosis. Second is meiosis. So meiosis is a type in which there are happens in reproductive cells. So males have testes and females have ovaries. They produce the cells which help in reproduction. And then in plants and animals, male and female cells are there, and they come together and they form the new organism. You can just read this. In plants, meiosis occur in anthers to form pollen grains, and ovaries produce egg once or twice, 1 or 2. Then these divide and redivide. Then these male cells and female cells, they come together, they form one zygote, gamete. They come together to form a zygote, and a new organism is formed. You can see the pictures here. So in this process of mitosis must occur in proper and controlled manner. What if it is not controlled properly? Then the body of organism will not be proper. So remember, all the information of the new organism is present in the cells. So from male we get 50% information, from female we get 50% information. If there is an error in copying the cells, the new organism will have error in the body. So errors in meiosis may result in genetic disorders which may be related to developmental problems. The organism may not survive. Some people are born blind. That is the reason. Genetic problems. They have disease from the beginning. So cell theory, the unifying principle in biology. So German scientist, botanist named Schneiden reported that all plants are made up of cells. Then Schwann was there. Then other scientists also expanded. So what does this cell theory tells us? All organisms are made up of one or more cells. Okay, this can be asked in exam. The cells is the basic structural functional unit of life. Remember, all cells arise from pre-existing cells. So nobody comes out of water. Nobody comes from the sky. There should be some cell before a new cell. They are formed from pre-existing cells. Now, do they reproduce forever? You know, whoever is born is going to die. So there are some processes in which leads to cell death. That is what we are seeing now. Cell grows and divides in a controlled way and then they die. So dead cells are replaced by new cells that carry out some function, same function. Every cell has a definite lifespan. So everybody is going to die, even the cells die. In many animals, cell division usually stops when cell comes in contact with neighboring cells. This process is called as contact inhibition. Now cancer cells are special cells. They grow uncontrollably. They just absorb the nutrition, resources, and they grow, and they don't do any work. They don't perform any work. They just grow. That is called as a tumor. Uncontrolled growth of cells. Plant cells grow differently due to the rigid cell wall and they do not show contact inhibitions. Even though cells are extremely tiny, they perform remarkable functions. Many things are done in the cell. Remember that everything actually is done in the cell. They produce energy, synthesize and secrete new substances. They perform different functions of the body. So you are product of different cells. Now let us revise. The cell is the basic structural functional unit of life. Prokaryotic cells do not have well-defined nucleus. Instead, they have genetic material which is present in the nucleus, also lack membrane-bound organelles. Eukaryotic cells are larger, they are complex, they have well-defined nucleus. Several membrane-bound organelles are there. All cells are surrounded by cell membrane. In addition, cells of plants and bacteria have cell wall outside the membrane. So plants have cell wall, remember. The nucleus of eukaryotic cell contain chromosomes which are composed of DNA. Nucleus contains DNA, remember. All cells, these are filled with cytoplasm and they have specific functions. Important cell organelles are nucleus, endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, Golgi apparatus, ribosomes, lysosomes. Plant cells also contain special organelles called plastids such as chloroplast, leucoplast, chromoplast. Mitosis produces two daughter cells identical to the parent cell. Meiosis is a two-step division. So remember, mitosis produces two cells from one cell. Okay, one cell divides into two cells. And meiosis, one cell divides into four cells. Okay, it happens only in reproductive cells, gametes. Meiosis happens in reproductive cells. Then normal cells grow in controlled manner, perform the functions and they die. Okay, uncontrolled division is cancer. Fine, we'll stop here. Thank you. If you have any comments, if you have any question, please ask.